Hey, welcome back, everybody. Oh, boy. Boy, oh, boy. Boy, oh, boy, oh, boy. Oregon. Man, this is the most interesting thing that's happened in Oregon since the Ducks were in the national championship game, I think.
Oh, yeah, I would agree.
Yeah, I mean, okay, so I've familiarized myself with the history here. I read through some reporting about the fires, I guess, that kind of sparked this whole thing off. Pardon the pun.
Yes. Good.
But why don't you give us a rundown, and then, boy, I have a feeling that we're going to agree on some of this.
Yeah,
I really do.
Well, the first thing we're gonna kind of tackle is the people, the core people that own this land are named the Hammonds, and they look like a nice family. Can you pop up that picture for us, Mad? And they bought land. There they are. The old guy with the hat, that's one of the people that's in jail currently. And the guy to the left of him, that's not a guy, that's his wife. But the actual guy over there, that's the other guy that's serving a jail sentence. And these are nice folk. Apparently, the older gentleman, his dad bought this land, 1926 or something like that? I mean, way back when. And it came with water rights and all kinds of things.
Well, the land that they're on, but that's not the issue.
That's not the issue, but that's the background. So that's how long they've been there. As an aside, the Bundys come up, Cliven Bundy, and it's two of his sons that have come up to offer support. Now, with a fairly common name like Bundy, apparently you have to name yourself something unusual in order to get the attention you need, because there's Cliven Bundy, there's Ammon Bundy, and I forget the other kid's name, but it's an off-color name too. And that joins the likes of, King Kong Bundy. Yeah. And I don't know if they're related, but, certainly have the last name.
Al Bundy,
Peg, Bud, the rest of them. And so they came up to Ted Bundy. Oh man.
Oh, this is going south in a hurry.
That went really, really south. Anyway, this particular Bundy clan likes to get together and stir up trouble. And I don't really blame them. I mean, this is, they're talking about water rights. So they have this land, the Bureau of Land Management, BLM, has consistently and persistently cut them off from their water rights over a period of time, because a lot of times when you have these large ranches, it isn't just one huge spread. You have a chunk of land here and a chunk of land there, and you got to kind of go back and forth. So they've restricted their ability to drive to their different pieces of land and all that. Apparently in 2001 is when the problem started, and they did a back burn in order to prevent damage to their, they raise cattle. So they were trying to prevent damage to their feed lots and a pasture where they do hay. And apparently it burned several acres, and I can't remember exactly.
139.
So 139 acres is what they burned. And they paid whatever fine it was and apologized and said, well, this is why we did it. And then, so nothing really happens. And then fast forward to 2006, a similar situation. They burn 1 acre and pay the fine. And apparently they got scooped up and charged. And then the judge just dismissed it and let it go.
Well, that's not exactly right.
Well,
basically, they were accused of arson, of deliberately setting these fires that burned onto federally protected land. And and there's allegations back and forth. They have their own story about why they did it. The government said the first one was illegitimate. The second one was actually a defensive fire. In 2006, they burned some property to protect them from some of the wildfires that were up there. The problem is they had been warned not to do it by the federal authority, and when they did it, they didn't warn anybody in the area. So there were firefighters that were there to fight the unrelated wildfires that were caught in the path of the thing that the Hammonds set. Now, no one was injured. They saw it in time and they were able to get out of there, but everyone was pretty upset that they did this without warning anybody. And the first fires back in I think it's 2001, I think sounds right. They paid the fine, or they didn't pay a fine. I don't think they got a stern letter from the from whatever federal authority it is. I don't think it's the BLM. I think it's somebody else. But they got a letter from them saying, "Hey, the next time you do this, you're looking at some consequences." And they got arrested and charged after the thing in 2006. And they it was a federal jury trial. They were convicted by a jury, and the sentencing judge, who they were charged under this 1996 law, the anti-terrorism, whatever the AEDPA I think is the acronym. I can't remember the exact word of it. You might have it there. That kind of encompasses arson on federal property under this terrorism statute that comes with a mandatory 5-year minimum sentence. This district court judge in Oregon says, "Hey, I think this is for what you guys did. You didn't hurt anybody, but you did destroy a bunch of property. I'm going to give the son a year and dad maybe 3 to 6 months or something, whatever that was." And the government appealed and said, "You can't do that, judge. You don't have the authority. You have a minimum sentence that you have to do." Now, mandatory minimum sentences are a big problem in federal sentencing statutes. I have said that forever. I don't like them, and I don't think they're very good, and I don't think they affect the policy they want to affect. But anyway, so they appealed, and the Ninth Circuit Appellate Court came back and said, "Yeah, you don't have discretion. They have to serve their 5 years," and so they sent it back down as an illegal sentence. Well, after these folks had served the originally prescribed sentences, it comes off as looking double sentenced, and so these Cliven Bundy, for these folks that supported Cliven Bundy back last summer, and all these other, the self-styled militia guys come up to support them, saying this is tyranny, this is a federal abuse, and in protest and in demonstration, went into this wildlife refuge and took up residence there.
All right, now I'm going to disagree just a little bit with some of the characterizations here. In 2001, Stephen Hammonds called the local fire department. So you're right. He did not inform the federal authorities. He informed the local fire department in 2001. It got out of control. They paid the fine, whatever it was.
Well, what he was accused by the feds accused him of using that to cover up some poaching that they were doing. But that's what is in dispute. I don't want to sit here and argue about those facts because
and I'm not. Yeah. And then in 2006. He didn't inform anybody, but he did set a backfire that did burn an acre. And he didn't inform anybody. And the next day, apparently, he was arrested, was charged, but the Harney County District Attorney reviewed the accusation, evidence, and charges, determined the accusations against Dwight and Stephen did not warrant prosecution, dropped the charges. Then in 2011... under the anti-terrorism, I think you had it right. It's called the Federal Anti-Terrorism Effective Death Penalty Act of 96.
That's right.
That's what it was. So they charged him with it 5 years after the fact. Now, I don't know about you, but at some point, doesn't a statute of limitation come in?
Well, I don't see it. I'm sure it does, but criminal statute of limitations can run for a long time. And I don't know what that statute of limitations under that act would be.
And I couldn't find it either. I don't know.
It's in the code section, I'm sure, but
it's somewhere. So anyway, they prosecuted him as terrorists, and they were found guilty because apparently all you have to do is burn some land that belongs to the government, and suddenly you're a terrorist and you're facing jail term.
They weren't called terrorists in the trial, and they were convicted by a jury. So I mean, let's be honest about what happened here. A jury of 12 people came to a unanimous verdict that they had broken the law. I mean, unless we're going to say that jury trials are something we should do away with too.
Well, no, I don't think we should, but I do think there's a lot of accusation of tampering. I mean, if you read both sides, the judge says, "Oh, that was great," and the other side says, "Well, hold on, there's a lot of jury tampering." Now, we have to stop for a commercial break. We want to thank everybody for staying here. We're going to continue our discussion regarding the Hammond situation out in Oregon. We're going to delve a little bit further into what is going on currently, whether it's legal, whether it's illegal, whether it should even be going on. And we're going to be reading some of the Facebook comments that we've had on our post, which we're really glad everybody participated in today. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. Be back right after this break.